Hey guys, what is up? So I wanted to first of all, I saw one of the YouTubers I watched, Mr. Ballens. He briefly talked about how these um how identical triplets found each other, and I watched the documentary, and I just want to give a quick review. Basically, Robert. So it has like so the guys are all grown up, and there's just them, like the two of them reflecting on just what exactly happened. Unfortunately, Edward Galland, he committed suicide years later. Basically, you just roll back to the beginning. Robert, he was talking about how he was going to a community college and you're super nervous. I mean, I totally understand, like just first day of school is just very just like like you're just kind of freaking out a little bit. And he was nervous, trying to get the lay of the land, and everyone's coming up to him like he was well established there, like he's been there multiple times, and he's like, "What the hell? Like, this is like episode of the Twilight Zone, man. Like, I'm just gonna go into my dorm because I just need to take a second to process this." And then basically one of Eddie's friends, like it turned out to, they're gonna be roommates, and he walked in the room, he's like, "Oh my god. Uh, okay, so you're definitely not Eddie, right?" And he's like, no. He's like, "Oh shit, well, I gotta tell Eddie this. Because you two are dead ringer for each other. So let's go to the telephone booth, which is cram in." And basically, like, Eddie and Robert talked on the phone. He was like, "Hey, come over to my house." And it was like that Spider-Man meme where they're like pointing at each other, and they're like, "Oh my god, how is this happening? Like, this is just absolutely mind-boggling." And basically, a reporter, like, he heard about this, and he was like, "You know what? I need to see it because this sounds like a hoax." And whenever he like saw it too, he's like, "Oh my god, this is like the biggest fucking thing ever." At the time, the 80s, and it took off. And basically, David Kilman was shown a newspaper article, and he's like, "Oh my god, these guys are my brothers. This is fucking great." And they were all like, superficially, they were pretty much the same. Like the way they moved around was like just a mere copy of each other. They just had so many things in common. No one asked what their differences were. They just asked, "Do you like the same women?" They're like, "Hell yeah, we do." Like, same secrets. "Yeah, we like Marlboros." We like all the same food. "Oh yeah, you like wrestling, bro?" "Yeah, me too." And basically, they just took off. They became celebrities pretty much. And they're 19 at the time, like they were young. They didn't question, why they were separated. Their parents still were like, "What the hell is going on?" They went to the adoption agency, and basically, all of them used the same agency. And it turned out it was a study that was being run by Peter B. Neubauer and Villa Bernard. Um, and they separated, the twins into triplets, and they wanted to do a study of like how different they would be if they grew up in like different like households. And I mean, there's just so many twins and triplets who were separated as well, and they all of them that they discussed in the documentary struggled as teenage. Like, I mean, the boys, like the men who were still alive at the time, they're like, "We've had a lot of mental health problems whenever we were teenagers. I mean, like, like two of them, had to check into outpatient. It really messed them up." And Eddie, he was one who like wanted, for them to get along. Like, he wanted them to be like more tight knit. And basically, they, years later, they like got married, had kids, and like, and they um like created a business called Triplets. They disagreed about how it's going to be run, and one of the brothers left. It really like traumatized Eddie because they were so used to being so tight knit over the years. Like, they had their own apartment together, and this basically was a straw that broke the camel's back. And unfortunately, Eddie, Edward, he committed suicide. It's just the parenting style that happened. Like his dad was more like, pretty strict. And they didn't mesh well. He didn't thrive in that kind of environment, and this had an adverse effect. It wasn't the dad's fault. I mean, it's not the parents' fault. They had no idea this was happening, and unfortunately, it was one of the contributing factors. He had manic depression, and they interviewed like his wife, and the wife was like, I had no idea. Like, he had just like this bubbly, personality. You just felt drawn to him like a magnet. Like, he was just super charming. Like, you could see, like why in the community college, like people like came up to him like when they thought that like Robert was Eddie, and it just, yeah, it was rough. I mean, they're all, pissed off. They're like, what the heck? Like, why were we separated? And it was because of this experiment, and just it ruined so many people's lives, and it was super unethical. And basically they were trying to get the files, and they made it really hard. And it's like, seriously, they were talking about like how they should have had access to it because they were the subjects of it. Like, they should have been privy to it. And basically it's like, nope, access denied until it's 2066, and all of y'all are gonna be dead. So, that sucks. And then basically Kilman and Schafferin, they were able to get, the files eventually, but it's just gonna have a bunch of like complicated shit that, like the average person is not gonna understand unless you're like a researcher or something. Like, it didn't come to a conclusion. It wasn't a satisfying explanation of why this shit happened to them. And they are still left in the dark. They don't know, exactly what has happened, what the results of their study were. And it's really sad. And yeah, I mean, personally, I am a triplet. I'm fraternal, like we're fraternal, and just God, being separated like this. I couldn't imagine being separated like this from my siblings, and just absolutely disgusting. It's just so horrendous, like just this unethical practices. Like, I mean, I majored in social works. Like, we learned a lot of theories, learned about a lot of like experiments and just all that stuff. Where at the time it was accepted, and basically one of the research assistants, she wasn't there for long. She wasn't there the whole time. She was basically like, well, it's the 50s or 60s, like no one gave a shit about kids being separated. It's like, wow. She just kind of didn't seem as guilty about it. She's like, I'm the one who made this study. I was just an assistant for a short period of time, and I left. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Just, yeah, if you want me to cover more, like psychological experiments that happened over history, that'd be really fascinating. I would love to do that. But I mean, if you think it's something I should dive deeper into, let me know down below. I hope you guys like this review of Theoretical Strangers, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.